Hail, Internet! That's right. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords, we are here to talk about American Gods, Season 1, Episode 4, Git Gone. Not so much maybe necessary to talk about plot in this situation because it's not a plot-heavy, it's more of a character study episode.
Yes.
So we'll just kind of stick to our general observations about what this episode does. Now, hugely important, this episode, huge break from the books. The book. I keep saying books. Like, it seems like every time there's a TV series, it's based on books. But this is a book. Anyway.
Well, a lot of it is expanded from the books.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they don't talk about their meetings, so that one comes out of, their
It's the backstory to Laura. So it's the backstory to Shadow's wife.
Yes. Yeah, but certainly, their relationship is as it was described, but we actually see it, and we don't read about those events that way in the book.
Now, one question I had...
and then there was a completely fabricated, all that stuff that happened after she died, and before Shadow sees her for the first time is invented.
Also, is that the way Shadow actually went to jail in the book? Like he went to jail, he got busted. I thought he got put in jail for like some kind of a physical assault or something on somebody.
I think there was something bad that he did that involved her, but I don't think they ever specified what it was.
In this situation, it was robbing a casino, and she kind of put him up to it, and he agreed, and then he was the good soldier and decided to do the time.
Yes.
And not implicate her.
Right.
So, let's just, let's dig into Laura Moon. I mean, this is really about her, and tangentially, we do get to see Shadow Moon pre-jail.
Yeah.
So that was, an interesting look at him.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly thrilled with, what is his name? Jackie White? What is his name? With his performance.
Ricky?
Ricky White.
Ricky Whittle?
Whittle.
Yeah. So you were not thrilled with Ricky's performance as Shadow?
No, I mean, well,
in what way?
Pre-jail, because he was still sort of a laid-back kind of character, really, but he was more jovial. And he just doesn't seem that jovial to me. He doesn't, it seemed like it's like a stretch. I wasn't.
He was. Convinced. I will say this: like he was kind of blissfully ignorant in some ways too. Like he was almost blithe. Like, you know what? Life's great.
Yeah. Despite
the fact that my significant other is obviously just not in a good place.
Right.
Now, as far as she goes, interesting character study they did of her.
Yes.
Not a particularly likable person.
No.
Really? I mean,
apparently that was an incentive for her to do the role. So she didn't want to... apparently she was talking about the makers of it. And it's like, if you tell me I'm going to be the heart and soul of this, I'm out of here. It's like, more like the spleen? She was like, okay.
Because, she has, like, run away from me just... I don't know. If you were to find a person like that, and you're like, as opposed to Shadow going, you know what, let's get married. I'd be like, I'm going to go over across the street now. It's like, she's... she's suicidal. That's one thing we learn right off the bat when she tries to kill herself in the hot tub with the can of spray, which is the title, Git Gone, is the name of the bug spray.
Yeah, I didn't get that as a...
You didn't think she was trying to commit suicide?
I didn't come off to me as a suicide. I'm not saying it's not. It didn't occur to me.
I think what she did is she filled the tub up, or the hot tub, and then she put the cap on, and then I think she was going to spray the air and then like maybe go unconscious and then drown. I think
I was just thinking that that was her attempt to avoid them. So she was like, I'll spray them and I will live under the water where they won't come. That's what I was thinking. So it didn't seem like she was suicidal to me, but I could be wrong.
Okay. I got that she was suicidal.
Okay.
And that she's basically just bored with life. Yeah. That life itself has no meaning and it's just repetitive. She feels like a robot.
Right.
And there's a lot of allusions to this. Her day keeps repeating over and over again.
But I feel like she did. I would feel like maybe she was suicidal if even after Shadow was in her life, and that didn't really have much of an effect. That when she goes to, in the afterlife, after she dies, she's not like, okay, no, she's like, I don't want to go. So she's, she doesn't seem accepting of death at that moment. And I don't think anything
Did
up
she
until
say
then
I don't want to
changed.
go though?
What did she say?
I think she says, well, they're like, this is, we're skipping ahead here, but Anubis basically has, it's a little less of an easy take to the afterlife than his first attempt. We see Anubis,
Yes.
a couple episodes ago where it's like, here's the afterlife, and the person who just died is like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
In this case, no, it's not as simple, which good. If it had been the exact same thing, why do it?
But first she rejects the whole. You're not going to measure
take my heart
You're going to
because
measure my
I
heart
get it.
Because,
I'm not going to work. I get it. I'm not going to pass. So, and then he says, well, you're just going to go to nothing. You're going to go to darkness. And she says, well, is there peace? And he's like, just darkness. And I think she's like saying like, F you. And then she gets pulled out.
Right.
But she's not saying, I don't want to die necessarily. I think she's kind of like, wait. There's like she would like it if it was just an end with a peaceful end. Is what I'm getting out of that. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know how that would have
played out
had she not been yanked out by the coin.
Right.
Which we don't see the coin
on her.
Which in the book it's pretty evident that she's got the coin with her. I think like she even wears it around her neck. I don't quote me on that.
Yeah. I think she does.
They didn't really show that in this situation, but that's the idea.
They might be waiting to reveal, that she has a coin on her. It might be in her.
Yeah, good point. So I got the idea that she was trying to commit suicide there, but okay, I could, maybe she's not. I could have been
What
influenced.
Do you think?
That's true. I could have been influenced by the fact that I was also watching The Leftovers, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, which is. Also, everybody's trying to commit suicide
there.
Suicide.
Plenty of it. Yeah, it might have spilled over into this show.
All right, so yeah. In fact, as I watched her do that, I was like, "Geez, how many suicides are going to happen?" So she, even to the point that she's a dealer at a casino, and it seems like the one thing that they take away the fact that she can deal cards. She's good at it,
right?
And they're like, no, automatic shuffling machine.
Yeah.
And so she's just constantly like, it's the automation almost of her life. Like, here's this one thing I can do well. No.
Right.
And so, yeah, even in the moments like we see her, being intimate with Shadow and then later with Dane Cook as Robbie, the best friend's husband.
Sure.
Like, she's very detached. Like you see these moments where she's just looking off into space.
Yes.
Like nothing brings her joy. And we get the feeling that Shadow is way more into her than she is into him.
Yes.
And so when he eventually goes off to jail, she doesn't wait. So, she knows she should, but she has the affair.
Yes.
Makes a pretty conscious choice to have the affair.
Yes.
And we, that last scene. So the when she dies, when she's, one last oral sex moment as we drive along, we do see the two ravens flying by the car, which I believe are symbolic of certain Odin.
Yes. Oh,
which is going to play.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the precursor of the, two. I mean, I didn't see that part, but I was initially thinking when you mentioned it that it was those two funeral people.
Oh, right. Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Ibis.
Yes.
Or they call him Ibis but I don't know. I always thought IBIS was Ibis. Whatever. Whichever it is, we'll go with Ibis for now because I haven't. But that. Anyway, so yes. Those two characters show up. They don't show up like that in the book. I mean, they do show up, but that's not the way they're introduced. But, okay, fine. We've introduced them. And so that is Anubis and Toth. I did like that conversation with Anubis. The second conversation was interesting.
Yeah.
It was.
I remember you now.
Here's what's fun, too, I think. Okay, so she's an atheist and disillusioned with religion in general.
Yeah.
Her only real connection is that she works in an Egyptian-themed casino. And yet, all right, you get the Egyptian package. You know, it seems like,
I've read that apparently they're going to illustrate exactly why that is. It's possible that's the reason, but
okay.
that there may be more to it than that.
Okay, all right. I mean, it does show that idea of like, the Americanization of these religious symbols. Yes. You know, there's the Luxor Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, which is the giant pyramid, and people walk around in Egyptian garb, and so apparently, if you work there, you are just be a good person. You are set.
You're set
for the afterlife. So the moment there where right before they die, and the song, the band, the Wait.
Okay.
That song is playing.
Okay.
And she has Dane Cook sing the song.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It was a little odd there, but whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure what that was all about, but okay.
There might be a callback that helps explain that.
The song itself has a bit of religious imagery in it.
Okay.
It talks about going to Nazareth.
Oh, yeah.
It brings up, I think the lyrics talk about Moses and the devil. So anyway, there's some kind of religiosity in it. Maybe it's also, again, like, a pop culture, somebody taking religious imagery and putting it into a pop culture reference, a la Egyptian mythology in a casino.
Could be.
It's maybe a similar kind of thing. Anyway, I was trying to think, why did they choose that song in particular? But okay. So if you have any thoughts on why they chose that song in particular, let us know. Of course, we end pretty much at the exact same spot where we end the last episode.
Yeah, it sort of filled in the point up to she's in Shadow's hotel.
As we, didn't really prophesize because it was fairly obvious if you read the book that she was the one that helped free him from the lynching. In that they condensed two separate,
events,
run-ins.
Yeah,
and
because they're going to make this tight. This whole story.
Yeah,
really
it's
tight.
very short. Let's talk about that. So, this episode itself, I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I enjoyed learning more about the character. We'll talk also about Audrey and how she comes into play, and that was interesting too.
That was.
But as we talked about last week, this book, this less than 600-page book, is going to be 40 hours long worth of content. And we can kind of see why now in some ways. Yeah. And there's like I'm a little cautious, concerned perhaps that they could overdo this idea of let's learn the backstory of every character. Because the book itself is Shadow's story.
Yeah.
It is from his viewpoint. Occasionally it goes off to coming to America. And it'll show you some origins. But that's a narrow minority portion of the book.
Right. Yeah,
Most of the book is his point of view.
It's making me think of a book that I haven't read, but
all right.
I've heard a reference, which is The Stand. And I would imagine that those characters are a little more fleshed out than the ones that are in American Gods.
In what way are you saying? Like, because it has different points of view?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of the criticisms of the book, apparently, of American Gods has been that the female characters are not really very well developed. So if you're going to choose a character to develop, you might want to choose that one.
What I guess what it reminded me of, and this is somewhat unfair, especially because I liked this and I didn't necessarily care for what I'm about to describe. But, so Star Wars came out. The original, the trilogy, episodes 4, 5, and 6. You're like, awesome. And then the prequels came out, and the thought was like, hey, let's learn the backstory of all these characters. What if we learned Darth's backstory, and Boba Fett's backstory, and C-3PO's backstory, and let's throw in all these. And we're about to have a young Han movie at some point here. Sometimes, the less is more idea is fine. Like I don't necessarily need to know more about Boba Fett. I loved him in the character. He's a bounty hunter, and he's a badass. Great. you know what? When he was a kid, actually, his dad was a clone. Yeah. So I'm just saying, it can seem like, oh, you know what? More backstory would be great. But there are situations where it's just bogs down and dilutes the plot so much that you just don't care anymore.
Right.
And that's all. By the 40th hour, I'm hoping that I'm still as thumbs up to the plot deviations as I am on this episode. Right. That's all. I'm going to go with that. I think Brian Fuller is more adept at that, perhaps, as well than a certain George Lucas was.
Yes, I would probably, yes. I think it's not too hard to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, we'll see, I guess. All the parts that aren't part of the main story, which are all the sort of coming to America things that aren't Shadow's story, and now this, which is, they've really brought some interesting things to...
Agreed.
Not only Laura, but the other woman as well.
Audrey.
Now I'm really curious what's going to happen the next time Shadow sees her. Because in the book, I can't see how she gets to that point.
Right.
So, So now the way... She still has an element of that character because she's still mad. And it's great, really, the way that Laura... what did you say her name? Audrey again. I forget her name. Still has her anger at Laura, but she,
Yeah, that scene. That was a tough scene to play.
Yeah.
The idea of being terrified of a zombie.
Yes.
You've never seen a zombie before. Suddenly there's a zombie in your house.
Yes.
You have to first embrace the idea that there are zombies, that you're seeing one that will probably kill you, then become angry at that zombie because it's the person who cheated on your husband and was your best friend, and then come to some kind of an understanding with that zombie person that you were angry at.
Yes.
I'm like, whoa, there's a lot to ask.
Yes.
Do that.
Yes. And as a side note, within that scene where Laura throws up and then has to void the other
the formaldehyde
fluids,
and whatever,
into the toilet, is something that Brian Fuller's been thinking about a long time, because in the previous show he did, a character came back after, in a coffin, and he wanted to have that character throw up and do all that, but it was an ABC show, so they said, no, you're not going to do that. So he says, well, I could make her Jewish, because they don't do that to their bodies, and therefore she could just come back to life and not have all those very nasty things. But now he gets to do it.
So you're talking about Pushing Daisies?
Yes, Pushing Daisies. Charlotte Charles was in a coffin and was brought back to life and was just fine. Didn't have to go to the bathroom at all. So inside, Brian Fuller was probably disappointed.
Waiting for this moment.
He's like, where's another?
How can I bring someone?
There you go.
Boom.
There you go. Boom, boom, or splat.
Yeah. So that was also a moment where, I guess in some ways it was helping Audrey become less terrified, because here's this zombie, and yet it's a zombie that has to be incredibly vulnerable in front of her all of a sudden. Please don't look at me. I have to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
And so, also it's the person that you hate, but the person you hate is being humiliated.
Yes.
And so, anyway, that was a little...
Certainly, they probably didn't envy her, even as she sewed her arm on.
Right. And
that was another thing that was not in the book at all, is them helping her get her body back. Right.
Anubis and Toth, we get to see their funeral parlor and everything, and that was not.
And giving her, a nice moment to sort of recognize that she still had something to do. So he could have been like, wait a minute, I got to get you to the afterlife. But no, he was like, okay, you're not done yet.
Yeah, good point.
So
good point. He does say, later we're going to have our... It's almost like, Chernobog saying, all right, after I do the meeting, I'm still going to bop you on the head, so we'll get ready. So
so you can see how the gods can still be supportive, or, not work.
Not so antagonistic, or
Not so antagonistic, right? Sort of like, okay, you can do what you're going to do, and I'm definitely still going to do what I'm going to do. So, it's like we're not as cross currents, cross purposes so much. So yeah, so for me, as in this instance, we got a little more, and it feeds what we know.
Right.
So she is drawn. She needs a shadow, and we saw. And
she keeps seeing him in a bright light.
Where she saved him, so she's like a guardian angel to him.
She can kick through a guy's body.
Yes.
So she's a superhero, basically.
Yes, she is.
Which in some ways is like, when she was looking for excitement, realize she wants to rob the casino eventually, is like, because she wants excitement. She is being bored to death in her life, and now she's dead, and she's got these exciting powers. I don't know. She doesn't necessarily go nutso exploring them, but she's maybe in some ways the person she always wanted to be. Like, I have this cool existence now.
That's possible.
I don't know. Just saying. When she's walking through suburbia all bloody with carrying her arm. I was thinking
that more meant in terms of her not being so devoted to Shadow in the first place, and now she is.
She does seem devoted to him, yes.
So, now her purpose is to help him in what he's attempting to do, I think.
I was reminded, I don't know, just because of the sewing up arm, and it was Nightmare Before Christmas, Sally. I don't know, she kind of reminds me of Sally.
Oh.
All of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Like the construct, and they're like, I could just use craft materials and sew my arm back on. So, we did see in the preview for next week, for episode 5, it does seem like they get back toward the plot.
Sure.
Of the book. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. Accelerated, I'm sure. I'm sure we're going to leap right. No, but they do. We're going to meet Mr. World.
Yes.
Crispin Glover for the first time. Very important character in the book and in the show, one would think. Although we haven't met him yet.
No, but yeah, if you're going to cast Crispin Glover, and
and call him Mr. World.
Yeah, he's probably important. I would think.
Doop doop. So. It took a little detour from the plot for an episode.
Yeah.
And just brought us right back to where we were from a different perspective. Yeah, so that's... any final thoughts, sir?
No.
All right. So we will be back next week to chat about episode 5. Tomorrow, also look for The Leftovers.
Yes.
Which has nothing to do with suicide.
Nothing to do with the song "Suicide is Painless" from MASH.
Right, that was not in there. That's the one song they didn't use. Anyway, until then, hit the subscribe-y, if you want notifications, hit likey, and commenty. Put the little Y on the ends of things that makes them sound cute. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you guys. Bye now.
Bye.